The hit Colorado wideout / corner Travis Hunter suffered was blatant, it was dirty, it was late, and in my opinion was intentional by Colorado State's Henry Blackburn. It occurred at the 5-minute mark of the very first quarter. Hunter would remain down, somehow return to the game, but then be sent to a local hospital. Deion Sanders, head coach of CU, would say post-game that Hunter will be out, quote, a few weeks. Dr. Brian Suterer would break down what could have come for Hunter.
He gets hit square in this area. You can suffer something like a sternal fracture. The heart is sitting directly behind the chest, and thankfully, if we were going to see something cardiac, we probably would have by now, but everything, again, sitting here behind the rib cage is potentially at risk. When we get down below the thorax, so now more into the abdomen, we've got, of course, the liver. Liver traditionally sits a little bit more on the right upper side of the abdomen over here. But then we're going to have a couple of important things. Number one, the kidney. We've seen in FIBA, Serbian basketball player get kidney laceration, ultimately have to have his kidney removed. Andrew Luck, football player, get a kidney injury. And then also the spleen sits in this upper left portion of the abdomen. And all of these are structures that can potentially be injured here with what happened with this type of hit from Hunter,
who is one of the best sports medicine YouTubers out there. Blackburn, a senior, is now facing calls for a suspension. The question remains, was it a dirty hit? Champ Bailey, one of the best corners in NFL history, called it intentional and made note of how Blackburn stared Hunter down after the shot. This is something I noticed on the broadcast as well. The hit, then the stare down with Hunter in distress. His girlfriend, Leanna, would update the masses via social media from the hospital. Rams head coach Jay Norvell, who incited a strong reaction from CU after his comments prior to the matchup, was asked about the hit and said, quote, I don't know. He hit him on the sideline. It was hard for me to see over there. I can't answer that. So look, all of y'all come to us to read between the lines, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Jay Norvell is in only his second season of coaching at CSU. He came from Nevada. I think people need to understand the nuances of not throwing a player under the bus. Even if they are completely wrong in most instances, coaches will not do it. Let's say he went after his own player, okay, to send a message. Unfortunately, speaking truth like that could have a potential negative impact. Guys would feel like they can't trust their own coach because said coach went after one of their guys and they have a strong kinship with one another. That could potentially lead to division in the locker room. And with that, you have players who feel like the coach doesn't value them, doesn't hear them out, will not have their back through a up and down football season. And then what happens next? Players start speaking out against the coach. One thing leads to another, and that coach is then removed. So it's just something that you don't really see. It's a cardinal sin in sports. It was brutal, don't get me wrong, but did it warrant an ejection? The rule states no player shall target and make forcible contact against an opponent with the crown of their helmet. The crown of the helmet is the top segment of the helmet, namely the circular area defined by a 6-inch radius from the apex of the helmet. We slowed this down to give you a better look. Blackburn put all his might into Hunter with his shoulder, not his helmet. There may be more to the story with Blackburn. He happens to be from none other than Boulder, Colorado. Per 247 Sports, he did not receive an offer from CU, which is based in the city. Considering the bad blood we heard about between these two schools, not only for years, but in the lead up to this game, coupled with Blackburn being from Boulder, it was a perfect storm. The payback was this touchdown with 40 seconds left as Shedeur Sanders connected with Jimmy Horn Jr. And who did he shake out of his boots for the score? Henry Blackburn. Via Sean Keeler, the Buffs are halfway to bowl eligibility after just 3 weeks. A remarkable turnaround from a season ago. But it's a 3-0 where the Stars mask a pretty porous O-line, a run game that's feast or famine, and a defensive front seven with more nicks than a splitting block.